Welcome to the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I am your host, Natalie Salas, an international real estate expert. Join me as we explore the thrilling world of global real estate. We'll uncover diverse international markets, backed by solid data and engaging insights. Each episode features expert guests from the hottest markets, providing you with the knowledge to invest wisely and successfully. Whether you are a local realtor aiming to go global or an investor curious about international opportunities, this is the podcast for you. Get ready to transform your approach and achieve global real estate success to become a real estate investment nomad. Hi, everybody. This is Natalie with the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. Today, we're going to the center of the world, Ecuador, with Karina Garate. She's from Ecuador, but she lives in the US. Want to share more about her story, why considering Ecuador as a destination, either for investment or retirement, and also maybe, the opposite too, because she's in Florida right now. So tell us more, please, Karina, about you and, how do you get into the real estate space? Welcome.
Thank you, Natalie. Hi everyone. Yes, like she said, my name is Karina Garate. I live in Florida, actually, Orlando, Florida, the center of the tourism in the world. But actually, I've been working with Ecuador for a while. I've been in the industry in real estate for almost 6 years. And my main market, I'm specialized in international investors. And I did focus in Ecuador because I saw the potential that my country has, like both ways, like you said, people that really want to go and invest in Ecuador or people that go and retire in Ecuador, especially in my hometown, Cuenca. It's one of the, I want to say, one of the favorite places to retire because of the environment, because of the safety, because of the whole thing. And also a lot of Ecuadorians invest here in Florida, either for business or vacation or whatever the case is. So that's my main market to work with Ecuadorians, either helping them to promote their market in Ecuador or they want to invest here in Florida for, just investments. They want to see other markets. They want to try other type of investments. So that's what I do. I have a team in Ecuador and I have a team here in Florida that I work with both of them. I do have my real estate, obviously, team. I'm a team leader, and then I have my property management company as well. So we help the investors not only to buy a property, it's just the whole service. It's since the beginning. I don't consider myself a real estate agent per se. I'm more like a consultant. So what does that mean is I sit down with investor either from Ecuador, from other countries, or locals here that want to invest outside, and we just go over what exactly they want to do. What exactly is their goal in investing? And then I can just show them different opportunities, different areas, what is better for them. And then I do, and I go and help them with finding the right investment for them. I don't work only with one builder or one project. I just go with whatever the investor is willing and able to do. I find the right investment for them, either commercial, residential, vacation, whatever the case is. And then we have our property management team that help to make sure that they get the best return on their investment. And I'm always evaluating their investment, their portfolio to see what's the best opportunity there to sell it, to resell it, to buy again. So it's a 360 service with my team. It's not just go and buy a property and that's it. It is a huge opportunity for the investors right now and always. Real estate has been in our lives forever and it will be. So that's what I do pretty much. I'm a certified international property specialist. So that helps a lot to cover other countries also, not only Ecuador, but that's my main market right now.
Mhm. That's great that you have the, from A to Z, all the service and everything in between, because many people buy and they're like, okay, what do I do with it? And then when you have rental income or, anything like that for taxes, how do you declare it? Where do you declare it? And there's all these questions in between that sometimes we don't take into consideration. And when we buy something in a different country that we don't know much about, then we're like, oh, I forgot to pay my taxes or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And the property management helps a lot because then you will be, seeing these properties at least where you are, and then, making sure that they're compliant, they're help, they have the customer service that they need if it's for a short vacation rental and things like that. Well, that's awesome. And tell us a little bit more about you. Like you're from Ecuador originally, since when are you in Orlando and how do you end up here in the real
Oh
estate?
my God. I have a long story, so I'm gonna make it short. I'm original from Cuenca, Ecuador. I'm gonna say it, and everybody said it. It's, I think, the best city in Ecuador, and I'm so proud of being from Cuenca. It's a beautiful city. You gotta go since you're always traveling, and I think you're gonna be in Ecuador soon too. So I came to the States when I was very, very young. I lived in Chicago, where actually you used to live as well. I lived in Chicago for almost 15 years. And I went to school in Chicago. I got my BBA, my MBA, and all that good stuff. I worked for corporate for almost the 15 years. I worked for American Airlines. And then I went back to my country for a few years. I'm a single mom. I'm a very proud single mom. I have a boy, a 17 years old boy who's going to join the Navy this year. He's leaving home. So we went back to Ecuador for a few years, and I stayed there for a few years, the first, I want to say, years of my son. And then we came back to the States, but I didn't want to go back to Chicago, not because I don't like it, it's just the cold. It was the whole
Yeah.
thing. And it's a huge
Don't
city
blame
to raise,
you.
yeah, and it's a huge city to raise a child by myself. And my son was 10 years old when we came back. So I decided, I always liked Florida, the weather, the environment, the people. So I'm like, this is my opportunity to go to Florida. And I came to Orlando without knowing anybody. I just had, I think, one friend that he helped me a lot. But I came with my son, the two of us, to start all over again. Like 8 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. And it was always in my mind, I don't want to go back to corporate. I want to do something that I really love doing it. It was maybe my third opportunity to start all over again in my life, Chicago, Ecuador, and all that stuff. So I've said, like, this is it. I have to make the right decision. And I did a little bit of everything when I got here, like we all have to do it when you start all over again. And I met this guy, and he's like, you should be a real estate agent. I'm like, really? I've never done sales. I've been always in corporate. I thought I couldn't sell nothing, being honest with you. I was like, I'm never going to do sales. My dad is an architect in Cuenca, and he was always involved in real estate. He used to build and sell. And he was always like, you need to get involved in real estate. Real estate is the main industry in the world. And I was like, no, I don't want to real estate. I don't want to this. I was so like, I didn't want to do what my dad was doing. So when I came to the States, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get my license. And I actually did. At the beginning, it was hard, like, nothing is easy in real estate, especially when you are a solo agent. You don't know anybody, you don't have friends or family in that place. Nobody wanted to buy a house with me, being honest with you. And here in Florida, the market is huge and the competition is even more. So I started kind of like doing here and there. I was like, no, this is not working out. I gotta do something else. Single mom, I had to get an income. I started selling timeshare, which I was like, oh my God, I'm selling timeshare. It went well. I started kind of selling. I was like, okay, I can sell. So COVID came, and timeshare were gone. I'm like, okay, I gotta do real estate for real, full time. I don't care
Okay.
whatever happens. And I went all in with real estate, 100% full time. And that's when I decided to join EXP because I was looking for a company that gives me those like open doors to the world because I knew I wanted to do something global, something with my people in South America. And I was like, I need to find a company that actually can help me opening my door somewhere else. Because I'm not gonna sell homes just here in Kissimmee where I live, which I love, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to go like further. And that's what I did. I joined EXP, and that's when I was like, okay, this is it. And I've been doing this for a few years, and I mean, I'm blessed. I'm grateful that my business is just has grown so much. I have a big team of people working with me. We have helped many, many families and investors from out of state, from out of the country, locals. I have my own office, which I love because I have my team here working with me. So that's kind of like short story of my life. And I have huge plans right now that are coming in the future.
That's pretty impressive. And I love the story, and just adapting as you go, that you don't enclose yourself of like, okay, now what? Or I have to go back to corporate. I relate with you in that side of things because I felt also left corporate and I'm, working towards being an entrepreneur. I mean, we are like we've been working on this. It's not easy because your money goes up and down based on sales,
Yeah.
but it's very rewarding, especially as you mentioned, across borders. And how do you find, I mean, at least for me that I'm from Peru, I feel like a lot of South Americans are looking for a safe place to park their money. Sometimes that might or might not be our country of origin because of the different, political issues, different economic, up and downs. Sometimes US seems like a safe place to put your money, especially if you have a lot of money in South America. Have you find that, like people looking for this place, because they don't feel safe at home or because there's having an issue? Like, what's the main reason people come to the US and invest?
Well, I'm gonna start saying that Latins in general, we are always looking for opportunities. That's in our blood. And the numbers said, I don't say it, the numbers said we are the number one like group here in the US on growing, and actually real estate, we are growing. Like, Hispanics, Latins, we are growing in all the industries, especially real estate. And so what I see when I talk to my people, and I always say my people because I just love my people, what I see is that they're always hungry of doing something for their kids and their family. We are so family oriented that it, it doesn't matter how much money you have, we're always thinking on what can we do better for our kids, for our future, for all that stuff. So the reason number one they try to invest somewhere else than in our countries, it's because they want their kids to have different opportunities, not only one way of doing things. And that's what I admire the most. And even if our countries here are great, because I love South America. I think there is some great opportunities to grow businesses and to invest as well. But there's always good to have different ways of doing it, different like
Different
diverse,
different
you know,
baskets, right?
yeah, you can have diverse types of investments, and if you invest in one thing, in another thing, like the experts, they always say just don't put it in one basket, don't put all your apples in one basket. So if they want to diverse their portfolio of investments, of course they want to go to the biggest and greatest economy in the world, like it or not, that's the US, because the real estate industry, the real estate business, whoever has done it or are thinking to do it here in the US, is just great. I always tell them it's like no matter what kind of economy we're at here in the US, you're always going to have closings, transactions every single day happening. This market doesn't stop. It could be a little quicker sometimes because of the economy, it could be a little slower sometimes, but you know what? Every single day we close transactions in this country.
Yeah.
Well, if they want to sell a property here, the longest it will take, maybe 60, 90 days. That's like, oh my God, that is takes so long. You go to our countries, a house is on the market for months or years sometimes.
Yeah.
So that flexibility or having in different areas, different countries, and in a very dynamic and robust economy like the US, that's a huge opportunity for our people, a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I think that the stability on the currency as well, that's what is attracting for many of the investor families that think, where I'm going to put my money if I have a lot of it or an investment to
Exactly.
diversify.
Yeah,
Um, and usually, yeah, South Americans like the US for the stability because sometimes
yeah,
our currency goes like crazy and depends who's the president, it goes up or down or
exactly.
on
Yeah,
sometimes.
there's always a market for somebody. There's always a market. If the interest rates are up, the prices are good. You have an opportunity as a buyer. If the prices are high, then you have an opportunity as a seller. There's always an opportunity here. The economy doesn't stop or stay still. It's always moving.
Yeah, true. That's what I like it because every time I need like a boost of energy, I'm back to Chicago and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Like moving around. I do feel like in in South America, Latin America, things are slower. So we have some clients that sometimes want to sell a home or they want to flip land, and we're like, well, it's gonna take a minute because it's not like the US. Like we can close within 90 days. Sometimes it can be
Yeah,
2 years, and we have to manage those expectations for our clients when they're selling at home or in Latin America to make sure that they don't get disappointed that there is a US time frame, it's
exactly.
different. And I'm glad you said that because sometimes the unrealistic expectations sometimes local realtors in Latin America give to the clients, overpromising, under-delivering, also lack of regulation, lack of MLS, no technology or little technology.
Yeah,
The game is different. So having that
really.
in mind is super important.
Yes, definitely.
For Ecuador, I would love to see who are the buyers that you see that are curious to invest in Ecuador and why. Is it mostly people retiring? Let's say that, because as people migrate to the US, people leave the US for whatever, X reason, mostly for retirement or to live a more simple, quiet life in a way, which you can do in the US, but it's different, right? Like if you move to Ecuador, Mexico, Latin America, you just cut your expenses by, I would say, 4x. So have you seen that? What kind of is the main reasons that people go back to Ecuador or move to Ecuador?
Well, a few years ago, the main reason was retirement. People was buying to go and retire because of the economy. We have a plus in Ecuador that we use the dollar, so they don't have to do like the difference currency. We have the dollar. There's some places that they're just beautiful, like I said, like Cuenca, Loja, Quito. They're just beautiful. Manta. So for a few years, it was kind of like retirement. The people went to retire, smaller country, like you said, they cut some expenses with a retirement income that they have here. They have a very nice life in Ecuador. But lately, we've seen a lot of investment going on from outside, from the US, from the Canada, like from Canada, Canadians are investing a lot down there too. And even Ecuadorians that live outside of the country, Ecuadorians that live here in the US, they are investing in our own country, which I love it. I was just talking to a lady this morning before I started the interview with you, and she is from Ecuador. She lives here in Connecticut, and she has like 6 properties in Cuenca doing Airbnb. So we've seen that changing. We have a lot of investors going down there because the markets are bringing a lot of tourism. Ecuador is being like a very nice country to go for tourism. It's very small, but you can find everything within a few hours. You don't have to travel too long to find the beach, the mountains, the nice historical cities, and the Amazon and the Galapagos Islands, of course. So there's a lot of investment going on. You can see these beautiful properties right now, these huge buildings with these condos. Like if you go to Manta, if you go to Cuenca, they're building huge condos like you see here in Florida and over $1 million condo. I mean, in our economy, that's like wow, wow, wow. And you see Airbnbs, the daily rate to rent it's even higher than here in the US. So it's a good investment. That's what it's happening right now in Ecuador.
Mhm.
And I think it's great.
That's awesome. And what are the main cities that you will recommend or you think are booming the most within Ecuador? I'm sure main cities, but what are the cities and kind of what reasons? Because you mentioned the beach and the mountains and, lifestyle wise, like if somebody likes the beach, where should they go and, and explore versus a different type of lifestyle?
So it depends where you're going for. Like if you go to the capital, Quito, you go either for business or tourism. It's a beautiful city and there's a lot of buildings. The same thing in the, like in the middle, like Quito downtown, which is beautiful. Um, the churches and all the historical Spaniard style. It's beautiful. So Quito is one of the main, it's the capital. It brings a lot of attention. Guayaquil is a lot for business and commerce. If you go to Guayaquil, you're going to see a lot of movement in business and commerce. So a lot of people go there for that. Actually, a lot of people call Guayaquil the little Miami, like, el pequeño Miami, because it's that, like, I want to say maybe like Lima, it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
Um,
second capital, kind of.
yeah.
For
And then we have, of course, Cuenca is the third city, and Cuenca is more touristic, very touristic. You go and find beautiful places. And lately, I went to Cuenca. I went to Ecuador like 2 years ago, and I did a few events for investors. Actually, I did a Quito, Guayaquil, Cuenca, and Manta, which is another very good point. And when I went back to Cuenca after a few years, I was like, oh my God, this is just not like what I where I grow up. You see those beautiful restaurants and shops, and the city is just beautiful. So a lot of people like it's safe, which is a big thing in our countries lately. It's very safe. You don't hear any kind of like crazy things going on. And the weather is nice. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. So um a lot of very good infrastructure like buildings and places like housing and all that stuff, great schools, middle, high, and universities. And Manta is a big city. It's been growing lately as well. That's by the beach. And we have a lot of beautiful beaches, but I think Manta has been kind of like growing. It's the more like known beach town in Ecuador. And the same thing, you see a lot of development, like, condos and beautiful mansions. Like, oh my God, it's crazy. So I want to say those are kind of like the four main cities that are developing and are growing. And if you want to invest, I would say, hey, if you want like a big city, that would be either Guayaquil or Quito. If you want more like tranquil and nice and just go and walk around the park and go to the restaurants or the nice coffee shops, that would be Cuenca. And if you want the beach, that would be Manta.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's a very nice description and summary because sometimes you hear about the name and you're like, I wonder what it's like over there, right? Like, and in different cities for different reasons. And the way you summarize it, it helps a lot on the, visualizing where I want to live. Um,
Yeah.
because, I mean, as you mentioned, Ecuador has so much beauty within the country and you just don't know. I mean, where to pick to
I
live.
mean, there are some little cities, towns. I'm lucky to say that I know the whole country.
Nice.
I've been in every single province, we call them province, um, in Ecuador. So if you ask me about this or that, I will tell you the weather, what's the best where to go, and the time of the year that you should go, and the main food, because that's important when you go somewhere else. What you should eat. So I know my country like from A to Z.
That's amazing. That's amazing, especially for real estate, because how would you recommend, somebody that wants to retire on the ocean, let's say, and they're looking into Miami or something like that, the Caribbean, whether you will, guide them towards what is like
Exactly.
in Ecuador. And now I think with social media, people are getting, their places cuter, more places are showcasing their beauty. More countries are sharing, what's in there, like for people to come and visit. Would you be creating more content about this? Like we want to follow, make sure people follow you as well for the, how you're gonna be reporting live, let's say, from Ecuador, and also showcasing this, opportunities. Would you be
Yes.
that?
Yes, I haven't done it yet. I've been always showcasing Florida because that was my main market where I started. But since I'm like getting more into my country as well, I'm gonna be there now in next week. I'm going on Friday. I'm gonna be in Quito, Manta, and Cuenca, the three main that I was talking about. We're gonna do some videos, of course, but in my plan is actually to have a nice trip all around the main points, showing why you should invest in Ecuador, why Manta, why Cuenca, why Quito, what are the benefits, how you can do it, and just don't be afraid of doing it, because a lot of people, they just, I'm gonna say this, I don't like the news. I don't like news, being honest with
Me
you.
neither, no, no.
I
It's
try not to listen to these people. I do because I want to know what's going on in my country, so I know what to expect. But it's like
no,
we
it's
Ecuadorians,
tragic.
we
It's
proud
tragic.
of our, yeah, it's like, hey, people get so afraid. I've been inviting people here in the US, hey, let's go to Ecuador. You can go and see if you like, oh no, it's dangerous because they're saying, I'm like, don't worry about it. We go, I'll take care of you, you know.
Yeah,
So that's what I want people to know, that yes, of course, there's problems. There's like, you need to know where to go. You need to know who to talk to, who to do business with, and you will be fine because the economy is running anyways,
yeah,
maybe not as much as we have here in the US, but there's people buying and selling, there's people investing, and hey, at least try and go and find out what's going on, why those cities are growing so much and are developing. I don't think those developers are building just because of the heck of, I want to develop
yeah.
huge buildings, it has a reason behind that. So that's what I always say, don't be afraid, go and find out.
Yeah, and especially with somebody that knows the area and is from the country too, because yeah, there's propaganda everywhere. There's bad news, inbound, outbound. I feel like when I'm even in Lima, I watch the news because I'm in a restaurant. I'm like, why are you watching this? People are, not everybody are like, why are you reporting so much death? And I'm like, I know people are dying everywhere in every single country, Chicago too. Like there are shootings here and there. I mean, like why is the highlight only there? But it's just the news being the news and the propaganda. If people pay attention, they're gonna miss the opportunity on actually a good place to go to and
Exactly.
explore with somebody that knows their market and can guide them through the process as well. Because you have the mindset of like investing in the US, which we can translate to investing locally in Ecuador, which many realtors
Exactly.
locally don't have. They don't maybe they don't understand because they haven't been out, or they don't understand because they just know their market and that's it, and they cannot compare city to city because probably they just want to sell whatever they have in inventory and then kind of steer clients into whatever they have in inventory, because that's kind of the market in Latin America. I can show you my inventory, but I don't have anything else. So that's kind
Exactly.
of the steering around clients without providing the whole information and education on how to invest in a different country.
Yeah, definitely. You're right.
I think that's that you do best. You cross borders. Like that's kind of our philosophy. How can we help people invest abroad? Abroad, whatever that means. Abroad, like to the US, abroad to a different country if you're outbound, but also with information and the trusted realtors, because sometimes you have to be super mindful because there's no regulation in Latin America, almost in none of the countries, for being respecting the client's time, budget, what they want, what they need. And then sometimes, like it happens in Mexico, people will get into a project because they find a realtor online that they don't know. And then they close with a development that didn't finish, was late, or didn't do what they said they're going to do. And that happens every day. In every single country of Latin America and the world outside of US and Canada. And even Canada happens too, because I heard when I was in Canada, all the bad stories with some pre-construction and all the nuances with that and all the fees and all the taxes. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I thought we had it bad in Latin America, but it happens everywhere. But I
Yeah.
think it comes with
I always said, even here in the US, that we are very regulated, like real estate is very regulated, but always to have someone on your side to negotiate for you, to see everything for you, that, the expert that knows what is going on and actually knows you as a client, what exactly you're looking for, because that's our main job. I had an interview, I had a meeting yesterday with an investor, because I work with investors a lot. That's my main thing. And he has like 11 properties here around Orlando. And we were talking, and he's like, oh, I've been working here. I've been working with this other person, with this other person. But finally, I say, you know what? You need to have a realtor like we have a doctor, because we need to know exactly where you're looking for. We need to know exactly what your goal is, and we can make it happen. I don't sell houses. When I said I don't sell houses, everybody's like, what are you talking about? You're a realtor. I'm like, I don't have houses. I'm not a builder. I don't sell houses.
yeah.
I help people to find the best deal possible. It could be this house, or maybe I'm going to tell you this is not the time for you to buy a house. Our job is to know, and the people need to trust the realtor. We can't be just a salesperson like, oh, I'm going to get a house and buy a home and get the commission check. That is not our job. That's not the way I see it. My job is actually to find the right thing to do in real estate. If you want to buy, if you want to sell, if you want to invest, what's the best way of doing it? And for international people, I've been so blessed of having the trust of my clients. Being honest with you, Natalie, I have clients that they have never seen their properties. I bought their properties for them. They sign anything, which is crazy sometimes, like, hey, wait, we need to get a Zoom call and I'm going to explain exactly what you're signing. Oh, no, Karina, we trust you. No, don't trust me too much. I want you to know exactly what you're signing for, because I feel kind of like, oh my God, you need to know what you're signing. I appreciate the trust, but we need to be so transparent and so ethical. So the people feel like, oh, wow, I can breathe, I can have peace of mind, and I can invest again with this person. So that's how I see real estate for me. It's not that I sell houses. When people are like, do you sell houses? No, I don't. I help you to find the best deal possible. You want to buy? Let me see why you want to buy a house now. If it's the time for you. You want to sell? Let me see if it's the right time for you to sell and what's the best way to sell your property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes real estate agents get too close with their commission in mind, and that's their goal. Your goal is more, let me get my client what they want, what they need, or sometimes what they need, but they don't say it because they don't know how to say it. You have to kind of read in between the lines, guess their mind of it sometimes, and then, make sure that that's what they are saying. many of our clients that they buy in Mexico, they just don't tell you. They're like, "Oh, well, send me everything." And we're like, "Okay, I can do that in the US. I can send you everything in Mexico." Mexico's a big country. Similar
Yeah.
happened in Ecuador. Like you show me everything, and I'm like, "Okay, beach, mountains,
Mhm.
desert. What do you want? What do you?" So
Yeah, exactly.
just having that conversation with the client is kind of like guessing the mind. And I think you do a great job about that, like helping your client succeed in their goals. Because if they tell you I want numbers, like some of my clients tell me I want return on my investment, and they come straight to Tulum, and I'm like, well, that's not it. If you want return on your investment, don't buy there, because that doesn't is right now is not currently today is not returning anything. So
Right.
having that transparency, people appreciate that. And at least, they have the trust that either, now or later they'll work with you on that aspect.
Yeah, totally. And that's something that the fact that we have the whole service from A to Z, when I have clients that are investing, the way I do the whole transaction or the whole process is we start looking for the properties between the aspects that they're looking for, price, location, what they want a house for. And then when I get the final houses that they like and I help them to find the right properties. Then we go through the numbers process before they even put an offer. Before they even put an offer, they're like, oh, let's put an offer. Let's wait. Let's check the numbers. And then my property management team, they do the whole numbers. It's like, hey, this is the projection of expenses and income based on the market, based on the history of this house. Let's see what is going to happen. And then if that makes sense, okay, let's put an offer, you
Mhm.
know? So I minimize the risk as much as possible. So I want them to have good results because I want them to buy a second property. I want them to be successful. Or if something happens later, it's like, hey, let's sell this house because it didn't work the way it is, and let's buy this new opportunity here. So I think that's kind of like what it has separated me from other realtors. When investors come to Orlando, come to Miami, they look for a house, they find an agent. I don't want to talk anything about agents. I mean, they're all great, but I think that's something that it gives me the plus, the value, the extra value that I do. It's that, hey, you come to Orlando and you ask me for one of my listings, I'm going to sit down with you first to see if that listing is good for you.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And the transparency, and the ethical work that you're like bring your clients through, not only just trying to sell and get your commission and be out, because that's relationships, like you're building these relationships. And many people have the myth, like, I don't know where to start when I want to buy, let's say in Orlando, Miami, Chicago, in the US. So if I'm from South America or Latin America or any other country that want to invest back in the US, sometimes they're like, well, if I don't have the full money, I have to buy cash. There's all these myths, right? Or I cannot get financing, or I need a visa, or how do I do if I don't live there? I've never been there, but I want to buy. Do you have those kind of step by step, like who can buy, in your market, let's say in Orlando, and what will be the process and the timeline so they can understand, like, yes, I can do it, and this is how.
So I do have a process, but I always say the process is something general, like it doesn't feel fit all,
Okay.
okay? Because first of all, every country is different. Brazil has their own ways of doing it with US. Peru has their own ways. Ecuador has their own ways because there's different regulations between countries, visa wise, immigration wise, sending money wise. It's like Ecuador has, I want to say a fee or a tax of, I think it's like 4% to bring the money out of the country. So you got to put that in consideration before everything because it's a big amount, you know? And then Brazil has a different way of doing it, and Peru has a different way of doing it. Colombia has a different way of doing it. So I always say the first thing you should know is who you want to work with. Find an expert on international investors. That's something that always, always, always you should do. You know, we realtors are like doctors. We specialize in different things. The fact that you find a real estate agent, it doesn't mean that's the best or the right agent for you. I don't know in Mexico or Chicago, I think it's the same, but here in Florida, everybody knows a realtor.
Yeah.
Either friends or family, they're realtors,
True.
right? But it doesn't mean that person is the right professional for you. So if you are a foreign national, we call them foreign national when they're like from out of the country, I would do some research about international agents or investor agents, international investor agents. Go to specialize. Like if you go to a doctor, if you have a problem with your heart, you're not gonna go to the doctor that checks your brain, you know. You gotta go to the one that knows about this market. And then and only then start working your plan. So that expert is going to give you the roadmap. Like, okay, you're from Ecuador. Let's start here. We need to know all the steps that you need to get to the table on closing. I have a team. I'm very blessed, and I want to say smart. I want to be proud of myself. I have found I mean, it's just an excellent team of professionals that work with international investors. I have my preferred lender. He is specialist in foreign national loans. Some people don't think that they can get a mortgage loan here in the US, and yes, they can. I have my accountant. She is specialized in international investors because they need to know all the taxes, all the responsibilities. They need to know FIRPTA that people don't know. When they sell their house, the IRS is going to hold a percentage of your sale. People don't know. And many realtors don't know. They find out when they're close, it's like, oh my God, they took 15% of my client and they're freaking out. And the client, of course, is freaking out. It's too late. They're taking it for a few months until you do the whole process, right? And they are ways of not doing that. I don't say avoid taxes, but if the foreign nationals keep investing here in the US, there's another form that you can do with IRS for you not to get the hold. So there's a lot of things that just a professional, an expert is going to help you doing it. And I have my accountant and I have my lender and I have my insurance company, insurance agent that knows internationals, vacation homes, if they're buying vacation homes, commercial policies. So I have the whole team that actually work with me. And before my clients buy a property, they have an interview with each of them. How the process is going to be, what is going to be after you buy your property, how taxes are going to be, what are you going to do? Are you going to do a short-term rental or are you going to do a long-term rental? It's different. What's your responsibility? What's the market looks like? Property management, boom. What is going to happen with your property? What numbers are you going to see? So then the client is like, oh my God, I see it clear. And not just buying a house that you don't even know what's going to happen. So I do have a process, but I always said it's different. Every country is different, and every person, every investor is different.
That's amazing because I feel that, as you mentioned, everybody can be a realtor and opening a door, but having the, I always say the due diligence of having somebody that will, you pay the same commission. I mean, it depends where you are. The commission is paid by the seller, but now it's changing, for the our settlement. But if you're going to be investing the same amount of time, why would you go with somebody who just knows how to open doors, sorry, and versus somebody who can actually provide you the whole consult you from A to Z? Like sometimes I get upset with my realtor sometimes when they don't know and they say something that they don't know, and then they put the client in jeopardy, or like you're like, seriously, you really should treat this down payment as if it's yours, because you can, I mean, like, not because of a commission you'll be just like, okay, let's just do it without having all that information that is back and forth. Rental
Yep.
income in our our countries of origin, we don't pay insurance, we don't have to. So maybe people think that maybe I can get away in Orlando not paying, insurance, which is a very bad idea, because if you're not there,
Yeah. Yep.
somebody falls on your property, there it goes, something
Yep.
silly, like something so tiny that we're not taking into consideration will affect the property and their investment.
Totally. Totally. Even local people don't know when you buy a cash property, when you buy cash, you don't have to have insurance. But that's not a good idea. Not in Florida, not anywhere, but not in Florida. So I always have those steps before they buy a property with me. They have all the information about insurance, taxes, what's going to happen with the income, what's going to happen with long term, short term. You make the right decision for you. I just give you the tools and I give you the information that you can make the right decision, not based on my income, based on your income. Because if you win, I'm going to win.
That's right. No, I love it. I love it, Karina. And for information like about you and where people can find you or work with you, what's the best way to find you online, or online, Instagram, LinkedIn? What's the best way to reach out to you? Because I'm sure many people will have that question. Can I invest? How do I do it? And where do I do it?
Yeah. Well, I just want to add something that when people is like, oh, do you just help in Orlando? No, I don't. Orlando is my main market because I live here in Kissimmee next to the parks. Mickey Mouse is my neighbor. But it's the biggest market for Airbnb. It's the number one market for Airbnb. But I do have clients that sometimes they're like, hey, my son wants to go, is going to school in Washington or New York or Miami even. Um, the best thing that I have right now with the company that I work with, which CXP, is that um I have partners everywhere. So if I have a person that, reach out to me is like, hey, I want to invest in New York, we make it possible and we find the best partner that can help them to invest in New York. So we cover the whole country here, and now we are expanding, obviously, to help them in Ecuador as well. Um,
Amazing. No, no, it's good because you provide that information that maybe realtors locally in New York, Chicago, other parts don't know how to do. And you give
yeah.
them that consultancy before, and then they can go and find that property
Exactly.
before
And
that.
I work with those partners in other states. It's like, hey, we're gonna work together. I'm gonna help them trying to find out what exactly they want. And then I look for the best partner in that state or that city specifically, and we work together. I never, never, never leave my client alone, because that even if they're gonna buy in New York, I'm gonna be in contact with them forever, always. And I make sure that that partner of mine in New York is going to take care of my client. That's something that it's important for me. Um, so
Awesome. Great.
where they can find me, I'm everywhere pretty much. I'm very active in Instagram. I'm very active in Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I don't do TikTok. I have my TikTok account, but it's once in a while. I haven't done that TikTok yet. My marketing team is always, Karina, you need to start doing TikTok. I'm like, you need to give me a break. I can't do everything at a time. But Instagram always, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you go to Google and you just put Karina Garate Realtor, you're going to find me. I'm the founder of KG Florida Homes, which is the property management company. If you go to Google, we have a lot of reviews as well. It's been great. We have houses here in Orlando. We have houses in Anna Maria Island by the Gulf. We have houses in Daytona Beach. We have houses in Ecuador that we manage. So we're growing. We're growing with a very nice small boutique company, but it's growing, and I'm happy for that growth. But Karina Garate Realtor, KG Florida Homes everywhere. Anybody can contact me. I have agents that always calling me just to ask for help. Hey, Karina, what do you think about this property to do Airbnb? Because you can't do Airbnb everywhere. It's not just to buy a house and I'm gonna do Airbnb. You need to know if you're allowed to do it first. You need to know if it's a good location, you're gonna have a good return. I help other agents to do it without any kind of fee or commission or referral. Um, I have my podcast. Agents can follow me. I love my podcast, Entre Nos or Between Us, where I talk to agents from everywhere. And that's something that I just love doing it, talking to agents and trying to figure out what they're up to. So yeah,
That's amazing. You're everywhere, and we'll make sure we put all the links below to so have people reach out directly, and in case they have any questions. This is very kind of you to opening it to also realtors, because sometimes we're afraid to ask, but because of that we can put our client in jeopardy, and that's not acceptable. For our
exactly.
it's just client first, their investment trade as yours, and you have the whole A to C service. I think that's a great plus.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. And I do want to do a tour with you. I know you're all over the world always, so I'm excited to organize a tour with you to Ecuador now that we're gonna be there. I think the same days, kind of.
Where you are going, because now I can maybe swing by. I'm
Yeah,
sweating now
yeah.
in Colombia and Cartagena. I'm really hot, but I'm excited to like go with a local like you that you know where you're going. I've never been to Ecuador, but only by the border. So I just don't. I mean, like I would love to report live on like what it's like to buy Ecuador, what it's like to live there. What's a city that might be appealing to people that they don't know about because they haven't seen it, or they
Of
haven't lived it
course.
through a realtor's eyes. Because when you go and see properties, it's different than if somebody else goes and sees properties. You can just go and run the numbers, like opportunity, the Airbnb licenses and things like that. Because as you mentioned, it's not like you just buy something and you just put an Airbnb. You literally have to go search first from the pool of Airbnb-able places, and then go from then on.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there from the May 30th until June 13. I'm gonna be in Quito, Cuenca, and Manta, and actually I'm gonna be talking to realtors, to real estate agents from Ecuador, helping them how to open their market to the global,
I mean,
how they can go on global. And I'm just gonna do some alliances with certain partners to grow the business a little bit. They're doing a lot of buildings for Airbnbs and vacation properties. And I think it's a great opportunity for agents in Ecuador to grow their business as well. And I'm excited about it. I've been dreaming on working real estate in my country. So I think that's coming soon.
super exciting now that Ecuador is open, and I will see you for. I mean, I think I'll see you there.
Yeah, we're going to be there celebrating EXP in Ecuador. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this space. Everything helps. The more people that know what we do, I think it's the best, not just for our business, but actually for our community, for our industry, that we are always on the spot. Real estate is always on the spot, either for good or bad. And I love sharing what exactly we do so people can know and can actually see, and they can actually give us value of what a realtor does, because we do a lot for our community, for our countries, for whatever we work. It's one of the main industries, and realtors are very important in our community. So I said, the more people know how we work, what we do, how beautiful but complex this industry is, the more we're going to grow and the better our industry is going to be and the better service our people are going to have. So I really appreciate this time and this interview, or this just conversation. I never say interview, this conversation between realtors. You have the global view. I love that about you, that you just don't do it from your seat. You travel everywhere. And that's something that I admire from you, that, an international agent, it's not just one that says it's international. It's someone who knows what's out there. Bring the business from other countries or go and bring business to that country as well. I think that's what it is about international real estate.
Yeah, no, I love that. And thank you for your time. I feel like I learned so much from this conversation alone. Like sometimes you cannot know everything about everything. So by having us, having this conversation, I mean, I'm taking a lot of pointers and for sure going to ask you in person when I see you next.
Of course. Yeah, I will learn from you as well.
Well, thank you, Karina. Thanks for your time as well.
Thank
And
you.
see everybody else next time.
I'll see you soon. Bye.